Good afternoon, evening, everyone. Good afternoon, most of you guys. Good morning for us, me and Chris. Some of you might not know Chris because you haven't met him before because he works in Cat Behavior Transformation Program. So I'll quickly introduce Chris to all of you. Chris is a feline behavior expert. He's the founder of Catology here in Australia, and he works with me inside our Cat Behavior Transformation Program. And he will be presenting this workshop with me today. For those of you who's watching it on replay, welcome. Drop a comment as you go through because we can see the comments later on and we will respond to you. So drop a comment as you watch this training. Any observation, thoughts, questions, just drop it there in the comments, okay? And today we are hijacking our usual weekly Q&A call inside Cat Behavior Transformation Program to present this specific workshop called Managing Sound-Sensitive and Hypervigilant Cats. And we chose this specific topic for today's workshop is because either some of you are really struggling with a sound sensitive cat, like a fearful cat, a cat who is highly anxious, especially to sound, or some of you would definitely encounter this situation at some point in your journey as a cat parent. So this was one of a highly requested session from our members inside both the programs. And I'm pretty sure this is going to be very important for all of you for the future, if not present, definitely in the future, because we are getting you ready for what's coming in the future, because this is super, super common in every cat household. Okay, so what we have done is we have divided this training into 3 parts. The first section is which is what is actually happening. What is this sound sensitive, hypersensitive cats like? What is this? The second is why is this happening? This is where we will talk about the science behind what's happening, behavior science, nervous system of your cat, all those aspects. And the third is how we manage. I'm going to add Shauna. How we manage this behavior when it happens, and how can we manage this without escalating further. So as I said, I'm going to take you through the what, and then I'll pass it over to Chris to cover the why component of the training, and then we will bring it together for the how section, which is the most important part of this training, as in how to manage this behavior, how to stop it from escalating in the future. Okay, so what is actually happening? I want you to imagine this for a second, and let me make sure that I'm seeing the chat. Guys, a very quick note. If you have any questions as we go through the training, drop it in the chat, please, because I will pick it up when Chris will pick it up when I'm presenting. I'll pick it up when Chris is presenting, but drop your questions as we go. Don't leave it for the end. I think if we can't take it right now, we will take it at the end, but make sure you just drop your questions in the chat. I'll be monitoring it as well. So what is happening? I want you to imagine this for a second. You're at home, it's quiet, you're relaxed, and suddenly someone slams a cupboard, or a plate drops, or someone knocks really loudly, like banging on your door. What will happen? You as a human being, you will suddenly get startled, right? Now, imagine if instead of calming down afterwards, after that noise is done, you're like, okay, I know who's there, or, oh, I know the plate dropped. Afterwards, your body sort of calms down. But what if you are not calming down after that noise? Your body is still tense, your shoulder is still tight, your eyes are very alert, and you kept waiting for the next noise to happen. That's what I want you to understand about your cat today. Sound sensitivity is not your cat being dramatic like we see in social media videos. It's not them being fearful or weak, or it's not a personality flaw of a specific cat. You know how we always say, just one my cat is fearful and other one is completely fine. So it's not like a personality flaw. It is a heightened neurological response to sound. Your cat doesn't just hear a noise, they interpret it. And if their nervous system is already sensitive, they interpret it as a potential danger every single time. And when that interpretation happens repeatedly and suddenly, the nervous system stops switching off properly at all. So they don't recover. And that's when we move from sound sensitive to hypervigilance. Hypervigilance is when your cat isn't just reacting to sound. They are living in anticipation of it. Yeah, they're constantly living with anticipation of it, like something's going to happen. They're scanning the environment. They're listening constantly. They're on high alert even when nothing is happening. And I want you to hear this clearly. This is not your cat choosing to be fearful or anxious, right? They're not doing it deliberately, or they're not being dramatic. This all is happening because their nervous system is stuck in this alert mode, in this protection mode. Okay, so Here's the difference between sound sensitivity and hypervigilance, and I'll give you a couple of examples. For example, your cat. Just think about your cat for a second. A stable nervous system always reacts, assesses what's happening, and then recovers, like I said. Similarly, your cat suddenly hears a sound, gets startled, jumps, they look around, they realize nothing dangerous is happening, and then they go back to grooming or sleeping or whatever they were doing. That is regulation. If that's what your cats are doing, good. But a hypervigilant cat always reacts afterwards. So the struggle is like always coming back. You will notice things like even after there's no sound, their body still looks tense. They're still scanning the whole house or windows or where the sound came from. They don't really relax at all. They sort of move locations, space around the house. They might hide longer than expected. So they might be hiding for throughout the day on the day when there's like lightning happening outside or fireworks happening. And you'll see that over time, their threshold to these sort of sound decreases as you go ahead. So sounds that never even bothered them before suddenly triggers a reaction from them. It's not the jump that should concern us, as I said, it's the lack of recovery afterwards. That's where we will be like, we need to be really cautious as a cat parent. So there's two things, fear response, stress response. Now, taking an example of construction, because I know at least 5 of you came back to me saying that I have a construction going on and my cat is absolutely shit scared of that noise and it's really bothering them. The same thing, right? Like with construction noise, it's like constant drilling, banging, unpredictable noises. And even when it's quiet in the evening after the construction has shut down, your cat is constantly waiting for it to start happening again. So they're not really relaxed. Even like throughout the day, they can hear this construction noise. It's sudden, it's bothering them, but they can't really relax in the evening as well. That's stress response. And many hypervigilant cats are not reacting to one loud event. They are living in anticipation of the next one. When is the next one going to happen? Because they're very cautious of their territory. So it's not about that single noise. It's about the unpredictability in their environment, the unpredictable sound. And when an environment feels unpredictable, and we have spoken about it so many times, the body stays in the protection mode. That's when short-term fear slowly turns into chronic stress. Chronic stress turns into hypervigilance. And this is like a series. And that's how they start to show different behavioral problems. Let's look into what these common behavior patterns are. What happens when our cat is turning into hypervigilant cat? This is how you can tell, okay? So hiding for hours or days, running around in the house, pacing around in the house, over grooming, aggression after noise, so redirected aggression. Sometimes you might have seen, you may or might not have seen. Sometimes people say, "Oh, I didn't do anything. I was trying to comfort my cat, and she suddenly attacked me because she could see another cat outside." And the reason for it is your sound at that point triggered an emotional reaction from fear, which is, of course, redirected aggression. So that's like noise triggering aggression reaction from a cat. Refusing food, not eating, dilated pupils, flattened ears constantly, even when there's no sound, tail puffing with like small little sound in the house, and they're like really hyper vigilant. Night hyperactivity, not letting you guys sleep at night, staring at the windows and doors constantly with dilated pupils and flattened ears. So these are the ways you can tell that your cat is becoming a hypervigilant cat, not trying to settle in at all. Spraying and marking after loud events. Jessica, I know your case was very similar to this, where we looked into, did the fireworks sort of triggered the cats to pee outside of the litter box? So these are the ways you can tell that your cat is sort of becoming hypervigilant, and now is the time to do something about it. Okay. Now, if you're listening to this and you think this sounds exactly like my cat, or my cat has done this once in the past, then again, I want you to reframe this in your mind and what cat parents think matters so much. I don't want you to look at your cat as a scaredy cat. I don't want you to think that, oh, like maybe I'm not a good cat parent, I'm doing something wrong. What you're likely dealing with is a nervous system of your cat has learned that the environment feels unpredictable. And when we understand that, the way we look at the whole behavior solution shifts, right? Because if this was just about behavior alone, we would try to correct the behavior. But this isn't just behavior problem. This is nervous system regulation problem. And that's why our job, me and Chris's job, looks so different for different cases. So when we try to fix the behavior without understanding what's actually happening underneath, we often make it worse by trying to fix problems or use solutions which wasn't even, wasn't even required. So because once you understand what's happening inside your cat's nervous system, you will stop guessing. Okay, perfect. Now, why are cats sound sensitive? What I'm going to do now is I'm going to hand it over to Chris, who's going to take us through why are cats so sound sensitive and what is happening neurologically, behaviorally, and behind the surface, so we can all connect the dots properly. And then we will bring it back together, as I said, on how we as cat parents can manage it step by step. Chris, I'll hand it over to you.
There we go. Sorry about that. Thanks, Saba. When I say, I'll just say next slide, and you go to the next slide. Yeah, no, that's good where we are now.
Okay.
Now we know what sound sensitivity looks like. Let's look at the why. This will help the vigilant behavior make a bit more sense. And I guess it's important to understand that cats just aren't good at hearing. They're like really good. They're like basically mini biological surveillance systems. And yes, they do hear the treat bag opening or the fridge door opening from across the house. This is just what happens. So next slide. This table gives us a bit of context. While cats don't hear as low as us on the low frequency spectrum, they do hear many times higher than us, 3 times actually. And you're probably thinking, what's important about those higher frequencies? Well, they're the mice squeaking and the bird squeaking and the lizard rustling through the leaves. Any subtle environmental changes, or even the treat bag opening, that's what that sound is for. They really are the perfect predator. They're literally hearing a whole other world you're not even privy to. You don't have the faintest idea that it's happening. And this is probably where you should realize that sound-sensitive cats aren't really being dramatic. Their world is just louder. Next slide. So while humans have, I think we've got 6 muscles in each ear, cats have 32. Their ears are like little radars. They can rotate them independently up to 180 degrees. And a cat's ear is built like that because it's a precision tool, because they are the perfect predator. Next slide. So cats are able to pinpoint sounds within a few inches. They're able to distinguish between 2 sounds only 5 degrees apart. And they can detect even the faintest movement from several feet away.
Can I quickly ask Chris, what does it mean by distinguish between 2 sounds only 5 degrees apart?
Well, if we look at our environment as a 360-degree environment, it can pinpoint the exact kind of direction that the sound is coming from. Right, within like only a few degrees. Yeah.
Wow.
And the thing is, like, given that they naturally live in the middle of the food chain in their natural environment, so they're built to track prey and predators at the same time. So all of this is again what makes them so successful as a species.
Very quickly, Chris. So Sarath here in the chat asked, during loud noise, should I focus more on comforting her or just making sure she feels safe to handle it in her own way? We will get to it, Sarath. We're going to come into the how section of the training. That's where we have covered it. So we'll let you know exactly what to do when that happens. And Deb here asked, Chris, is skittishness a symptom of a sensitive nervous system?
Yeah, definitely it can be. Yeah.
Perfect.
All right, so they don't just hear, like cats just don't hear high frequencies, they hear them further and they hear them louder. So when you turn on the vacuum cleaner and think, oh, all right, it's just a little bit loud, but it's fine, it may actually be overwhelming your cat or even painful. And it's the same with fireworks and other things like construction. They're not necessarily just annoying like they are to us, but for cats, they can be overwhelming and even hurt. Okay. But again, this sensitivity, even though it's not built for the current environments, is what made them so successful as a species. It allowed them to hunt and also to escape predators. But now we keep them indoors, and they're exposed to sounds that they naturally wouldn't have been designed for. So like the vacuum cleaner, the blender, traffic, doorbells, buzzers, construction, and so on. So now we'll talk about, in the next slide, why indoor cats struggle more. Yeah. So apart from the unique indoor noises, indoor cats do struggle a little bit more a lot more than outdoor cats. And there is one main reason for that, and that's because they can't escape. Outdoor cats leave the situation if they need to. Indoor cats are trapped. Outdoor cats, again, can self-exclude, and indoor cats just don't have that option. They just have to put up with it. And in behavioral science, this is called flooding. So in the next slide, This flooding is what happens when an animal is exposed to an aversive stimulus at full intensity, but doesn't have the ability to escape or control the situation. It's an old school behavioral modification technique, exposure therapy technique. It's still used in some circumstances, but generally we find that flooding does more harm than good. It can, if it's done incorrectly, it can actually sensitize the animal further to the situation. So we try not to do flooding because it can turn into chronic stress and hypervigilance. And now we do more like a gradual desensitization, which we'll come to later. Next slide.
Just to add on this one, Chris, because I've spoken to a lot of our members here one-on-one, this is why training for cat parents, especially cat parents who have indoor cats, is so important, right? We in social media and in general life, we listen to a rescue story that this cat has been rescued and now she has a loving home or he has a loving home, and the happy ending is there, like the story ends there. But when we bring a cat home, their whole sort of natural instincts, responses, everything changes, because indoors, even though it's really safe for them to stay indoors, and absolutely we all love our cats so much, but there are a lot of modification we need to make sure that their natural needs are met inside the house. Like, we don't think about how these small little sounds in our home is gonna, impact our cats so much. It's almost like a torture for them, right? Because they can't escape. And all these sounds, they can hear all these sounds so loudly. It's so overwhelming for them, and they have nowhere to go. So it's actually a bit sad that, our indoor cats do struggle with these sort of things. And that's why we, as cat behavior experts, sort of motivate cat parents to do these trainings to understand how can we help our cats inside. It's really funny when cats suddenly get scared of sudden noises, right? There are so many videos. Some of the highest watched videos in YouTube are the videos of cats getting scared with a sound, or people screaming close to their ears and then making these funny videos and laughing. But as much as it looks funny, it's making our cats so much fearful, scared. This is how stress and anxiety creeps in. That's how our cats actually end up getting sick because of all these stress and anxiety. So if you're watching this live, or if you're watching this in on replay, keep this in mind, that we need to think a little bit, we need to increase our thinking just from, oh, my cat is so lucky to have a safe home, to this is not natural environment for my cat. So how can I make these changes in my cat's environment so that they are having a really fulfilled and, fulfilled life inside our homes? Because, as I said, it's not natural territory for them.
Yes.
Do you want to add anything to this, Chris? Or
It's like, so, I often say to clients that, a well-adjusted cat is literally just a cat who has been desensitized to an alien environment from a young age. So, yeah, we think of it, what we think of as normal is just an early desensitization experience. So,
yeah, perfect. We'll move on.
Move on. Next slide. So not every cat reacts the same way to sounds. Every cat has a different tolerance level. So although they hear at the same levels, different cats have different nervous systems that have determined whether a sound is safe or it's not safe. Okay, and some cats can quite happily sleep through a storm. Others will freak out for hours after the doorbell rings. It's just it depends on a lot of things, including and you may as well just open up the complete list there, Sarah. Is like early conditioning and previous exposure, genetics, overall confidence in the territory, which we'll talk about later, post-traumatic experiences, but really importantly, one of the main things is how you respond during the stressors. So cats are what we call social references. They look to others to understand whether a situation is threatening or whether it's safe. So if there's a thunderstorm and you're freaking out and jumping under the covers, you can pretty much bet your cat's going to be freaked out too, because it looks like the situation is threatening to them. Next slide. Sometimes what can happen, and Saba touched on this previously, is a form of aggression that we call redirected aggression. It's basically where a cat's nervous system fully activates and it gets so emotionally agitated and aroused that they may turn around and aggressively turn on the nearest living thing. Basically, the nervous system has just gone into full strong alarm and they react aggressively to any kind of stimulus. We often associate redirected aggression with territorial aggression, so a cat seeing another cat outside and not being able to do anything about it. But a fear response can definitely set it off too. And even things like sirens on TV shows have been known to set off, especially in the case where I know a cat who freaked out when the smoke alarm or the fire alarm went off on the ceiling, and since then has been sensitized to any of those kind of siren beepy sounds, and then heard it on the TV, and then freaked out as well. And yeah. So, but basically, what we want to do is make sure that, oh, it's important to realize that any kind of redirected aggression like this is not really a voluntary activity. The cat's not maliciously trying to hurt you. A switch is basically gone off in their brain. And the aggression is not really intentional. What they do need is just time and space to calm down. So we'll go on to the next section. We'll talk about how we manage the issue, the sounds, and we can build some resilience. We'll start off with what not to do. Is the next slide. So these are the don'ts. These are the things we shouldn't be doing if there's a loud or sudden noise where the cat might freak out, or thunderstorms or anything like that. And funnily enough, this is where most cat owners inadvertently escalate the situation. So we definitely don't want to chase the cat, especially if they are trying to escape. We don't want to force them out of hiding. We don't want to pick them up unless absolutely necessary. Now, in like unusual or uneasy situations, cats need to feel in control, and picking them up and holding them actually removes that control and makes them feel like they don't have it anymore. Also, there may be a safety concern there as well, particularly if there's a history of any redirected aggression or fear-induced aggression. Next point is don't panic and don't overcomfort them. This is to a question previously, or say like, it's okay, like with all this nervous energy. What you're doing here is they're not hearing that it's okay. They're picking up on the nervous energy and going, oh, this is not this is a fearful situation. I'm right in being fearful here. Because remember, cats are social references and they read your body language and tone. They don't read your words. So if you look concerned or sound concerned, they'll think there's something to be concerned about. Instead, let's look at what we should do.
One of the example very quickly, Chris, on the
Yeah.
last point is don't overcomfort your cat. One of the cases I remember now was this cat was really scared she was scared of a sound in the house. I think it was a construction sound from memory, and she would hide below the furniture. And what the cat parent would do was they would go right at the bottom of the bed and will start to talk to her or ask her to come back. Now the cat here is feeling even more stressed because the only way where she could escape is now blocked by the human itself, who thinks that they're trying to comfort her. But what they have done is now they have blocked that one entry, which was useful for the cats to escape if they get scared. So that's why I also say that if your cat is hiding below the couch or a bed, don't go and block that area and try to comfort them there. Just let them be. They will come out when they feel better, especially in this tense situation. Because you're not just scaring them with more noise, you're also blocking their escape pathway. So they feel more trapped and more scared.
Yeah, very good point. Very good point. In fact, leads us in perfectly to what we should be doing.
Yeah.
Which is the next slide, yeah. So what we want to do is lower your body and movement speed. We need to appear relaxed. All right. So we want to show them that there's nothing to worry about here. We want to reduce any environmental stimulation if you can. So things like dimming lights or closing curtains. You can even play some light classical music. Studies have shown that classical music can actually help the cat's nervous system stay calm, particularly in more milder situations. What we want to do is speak normally and at normal speed. Don't start trying to soothe the cat or anything. Just behave normally and confidently. And yeah, just allow them to escape if they need to. Don't change your behavior. If they do hide under the bed or in the cupboard, just ignore them. Okay? We want them to see us being not escaping. We want them to see us being nice and confident and calm. Now, after the threat's gone, don't try and force them out. All right. So this kind of is what we do afterwards. So don't try and force them out, at least at the beginning. Just go on about life as though nothing's ever happened. Giving them a chance to decompress and build up the courage to come out of their hiding spot. And later when they do, after a little while, just have a nice play session just to get rid of that excess adrenaline, right? And just show them, hey, it's all good. We're resetting again.
Yeah, and I'm smiling because this takes us to the other strategy, which I always teach cat parents, is doing less is better with cats, because we think of our cats as a baby, as as our small little cute cat. We always want to comfort them. We always want to kiss them. We always want to look after them as a good cat parent. But more than good cat parent, I think we need to be a smart cat parent, and doing less, checking on them less, constantly talking to them on less, touching them on less. Doing less is going to sort of transform your cat's behavior into a more confident cat, more friendly cat, more happy cat, more sort of, cat who owns their territory. So if you are one of those cat parents whose cats never come to you, never snuggle with you, do less, and you will see that your cat will come to you even more. So less is better.
Yeah, it is very good advice. We definitely don't want to coddle them at this point.
Yeah,
Like we would naturally want to do, kind of maternally and paternally. It's we want to kind of fight that urge.
yeah,
Yeah. So let's look. We're going to look at things that we can do. Um, First of all, with sounds we can't control, that like fireworks, thunder, and construction, things that we can't stop when we want to. And then we'll go into sounds we can control. All right. So first of all, for the sounds we can't control, and again, fireworks, thunderstorms, etc. First thing we want to do is preempt them. So this is not always possible, but if you know, we'll use fireworks as an example here. Like if you know that they're coming, then you can do things to make it a little bit less or blunt the noise a bit. So like close the windows before it happens. Block the visual access, create safe spaces, use music or white noise to blunt the sounds. So these are all things that we can do. It's not going to be perfect, but it's just going to soften the edges a bit. All right. Step two. So this is while it's happening. Just allow them to escape. Don't trap them. We can do this by providing vertical space and other hiding options. Give them the choice and the opportunity to escape to a place of their choice if necessary. Allowing escape is really important. Otherwise, we fall into that whole flooding thing we spoke about earlier, which forces the cat to deal with the trigger like full frontal, which is most likely going to cause further issues. So step three is to, control your own nervous system. Just like we talked about a few slides back, just act normal, stay neutral, stay calm, don't hover or overconsole, move confidently and predictably. Okay, this is really important. Don't let your body language suggest that there is a threat to your cat. Next slide. So even with all the behavioral and environmental modifications, some cats do need some more support. All right, particularly if there has been some post-traumatic, like previous trauma, um, or even perceived trauma in the past. So things that we could do is pretty obvious. So like consider calming supplements with the vet guidance. I would suggest trialing them before the situation if you know the situation is coming up, just so you know if they work or they don't work. Because just like any other kind of thing that we can give our cats, some cats react better than others or more effectively than others. So you might even find that your cat needs some situational like anxiety medication, like gabapentin. And this is okay. Like a lot of vets will prescribe gabapentin for fear-inducing situations, like even coming to the vet. But it is really important that you consider more strongly if redirected aggression has been an issue in the past. Because redirected aggression is kind of one of those things that if your cat has done it in the past, means they're probably more prone to it. So it's always better to be a little bit safe than sorry, and it will help your cat as well. Now, we'll look the next thing we can, these are the sounds that we can control, that we are in control of. So the vacuum cleaner, TV, doorbell, all of those things. This is where we can get into some behavioral modification techniques. Well, to be fair, these can also work with the sounds we can't control as well. But in situations where we talk about behavioral modification for sounds is something we call gradual desensitization, rather than that flooding before. If necessary, there's something else called counter conditioning that we can use as well, but I'll talk about the desensitization here. All right, so desensitization is basically where we expose the cat to a stimulus at a really, really low intensity, or low volume in the case of a sound, and gradually increase it over time in successive sessions. But all the while, we're staying under the reaction threshold, which I'll talk about shortly. But basically, the cat should be aware that the sound is happening, but it shouldn't be loud enough that it's perceived as a threat. And so the cat tries to react or escape. It's just low enough so that the cat's just like, oh yeah, that's just happening in the background there. Counter conditioning kind of builds on this and is kind of giving the cat a treat, every time that the sound plays, changing the emotional response from a negative one to a positive one. But what we find is that in a lot of cases, we don't need the counter conditioning and that the desensitization is enough. All right. So we'll go through it in a bit more detail. So here we've got step one, which is identify the threshold. This is called the reaction threshold. This is where we want to make sure we're under it. So if we use the example of the doorbell ringing, some cats will freak out at the sound of the doorbell. You can either try and record the sound of the doorbell or find on YouTube or something the exact sound of your doorbell just to go through this desensitization process. You want to play it at a really, really low volume, low enough that the cat's ears do prick up. They're aware of the sound, but they're not running away, which is what we call the reaction threshold. Now, we do want to pair it with a neutral state. What this basically means is that we want to be playing the sound of the doorbell alongside like a calm, chilled background environment, right? So no running around, no yelling or causing any other stress to the cat. I mean, just let things be calm. Definitely don't do it when the kids come home from school, because that is not a neutral state or a calm state. That's a high energy state, which we don't want to do. If we were counter conditioning, we would also be pairing it with treats. All right, step 3 is we want to gradually increase the volume. So step 3. Yep. So each day or in each session, increase the volume, but incrementally. Like it should be barely perceptible, the increase. And this lessens the threat, I guess, or the threatening situation. Over time, the sound will increase to the normal volume of the doorbell, but here's a really good reminder that, like, as humans, we like to push things as far as they can until they break and do things quickly because we get impatient. It's just our nature. But when it comes to gradual desensitization, is that progress happens in weeks, not days. Right. And step 4 is just to keep sessions brief. Okay, we don't need to do an hour brainwashing session with the cat. Like literally 2 to 3 minutes per session is plenty. We just want to show the cat short and sharp. Hey, there's the doorbell ringing at a really, really low volume. It's not a threat. Cool. And then it finishes, and then life goes on as normal. Like nothing bad happened. So that's desensitization. I'll actually pass back over to Sava now to finish off this section and the rest of the session. Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris. A very relatable example of desensitization and counter conditioning I did recently was, a lot of you already know, I have a 2-month-old now at home. And before I gave birth, I was playing this baby crying sound for my cats on YouTube in a very small volume. And then slowly I increased the volume. So before the baby even came to the home, my cats were so used to the sound of the baby crying. And trust me, baby cried really loudly. Oh, yes. So since we have the baby at home in the last 2 months, I have absolutely what Chris just explained. I did not make a big deal out of it. I did not do anything, only sort of desensitized my cats, both of my cats. I've got 2 cats with the sound of the baby crying. And since the day we brought the baby home, we didn't make any changes. Everything was as usual, calm, collected. Nothing new is happening in the territory. And until now, sort of doing less, as I said, in my case as well, has done like so much wonders. Like nothing has happened. The cats are coming to the baby, sniffing him, sleeping next to him. Everything is like nothing bad has happened. And we are so confident leaving the cats around the baby now as well. So as I said, 2-3 things to remember. If you know there's a loud sound coming, 4th of July, fireworks. I remember we spoke about it last year. So fireworks, baby coming to the home, all these sort of big events, you can actually train your cats beforehand. And it takes 2 minutes, 5 minutes. Like I used to just randomly play the sound in YouTube on the TV and then increase the volume as we go ahead. So these small little steps makes massive difference later on and saves you from a lot of stress later on when your cat is not letting you sleep or attacking your babies and kids and all those sort of behavior challenges. And that's why we are training you today, so that you know these things beforehand. Perfect. So how can we build long-term resilience? Because sound sensitivity is rarely just about sound. It's also about stability of your cat's nervous system as a whole in the territory. If the nervous system is stable, a noise is just a noise. If the nervous system is unstable, your cat is already very scared in the territory, the noise becomes next threat in their life. So instead of chasing every trigger, what we do is we work on the foundation. We work in strengthening their nervous system. And we do that with 3 pillars. And these 3 pillars is also your action for the day. So you already know, most of you already know, a couple of you from Cat Parenting Playbook might not know, but any training we do here in the programs, we always leave it with actions which you can take on the day right now, today at your home. Okay, so pillar number 1, I want you to write this down in your notepad. If you haven't taken any notes today, this is where you really need to write down some notes and do this starting today. Okay, so first is territory confidence. If your cat feels completely confident in their territory, do you think any random noise will shake them down? In most cases, no. So territory confidence basically means is they have vertical access, as Chris sort of mentioned earlier. They have places to go, hide. They have safe observation points. So I'm not sure Cameron and Kristen has joined today or not, but we sort of added a cat tree next to a door where redirected aggression was happening in their home. And that helped massively with their cat. So that's what we call safe observation point, a high point from where your cat can observe their territory, feel safe because not people can't go there, not a lot of things are happening on the higher space, so they feel more secure. Then scent security, that's where we spread scent soakers, scent anchors all around the house. Clear pathways, if you have multi-cat household, if you have 2 or more cats, pathways, clear pathways are very, very important. We don't need both 2, 3 cats stuck in this really weird corner of the house where they don't know how to escape, and then there's aggression happening, fights escalating, all those sort of things. And that's why we say if your cat has a confident territory, they will have a lower baseline stress to start with, and they would take on any other changes in our daily life really well. Okay, so the action I want you to write down today is to sort of audit your territory confidence in your cat today. So audit your house today. Ask yourself, does my cat feel confident in my house, or they're just surviving in it? Okay, if you want to go deeper on this particular topic, territory confidence, how to sort of do the audit of the house, we have a really good training in our online portal called what is it called? I think it's called Territory Blueprint or something like that. Yeah, Territory Blueprint. Yeah. There's a training called Territory Blueprint inside the online portal. Go and watch it, and it will actually take you step by step how to do it in your home, how to check, how to remove scent soakers around, where to put the cat trees, where to do what, how to build a territory which your cat will feel really safe. And it's for everyone. Doesn't matter if you live in an apartment or a house or a small house, big house, doesn't matter. So go and watch that Territory Confidence, and that's like one action you have to take today. Okay. The next pillar is predictability. Now you have heard predictable routine thousands of times, right? But how to do it, like we don't really know. We either we don't know or we think about it in a very different way. A lot of cat parents I know, they think that if I'm giving my cat food at 6 a.m., I have to give the cat food at 6 a.m. at any cost. And if that missed, then all the bad things gonna happen. So it doesn't work like that. Okay, we are humans. We can't be that strict every single day because we are all busy. So when we talk about predictable routine, we are talking about consistent feeding times. And when I say consistent, it has to be done in a specific timeline. Predictable interaction. So your cat should know when you're going to come, touch them, cuddle with them, kiss them. You do all these things every single day at the same time or around the same activity time. This is when your cat knows this is the time to play, this is the time to eat, this is the time to get cuddles, all those sort of things. Yeah. So your action for this pillar for today, the second action, write it down, is lock in one predictable routine. Choose one. Can be feeding time, playtime, or as soon as you enter the house from work in the evening, you kiss your cat, or you throw treats for them to run around, or you pick them up and kiss them. That's what I do. So pick one and do it every single day. And don't overcomplicate it. Keep it super, super simple so that you can do it for more longer duration. You can keep it sustainable, something you can do all the time. And if you need help with that, we have a really good training in our in our online portal. It's called 15 Minutes Confidence Routine. That training will teach you how to build that routine. And there are so many examples in it as well. So if you need a bit more help, watch that training. Okay, so structured trainings, I didn't move the slides. So predictability lowers anticipation anxiety. That's why this particular pillar is so important. Now, third one, as Chris was sort of talking into the why component of it, this would be the most important one for you. We are just sort of repeating this whole thing because this is the most important thing. And when I say keep yourself calm, don't do much, it's going to take some time, especially if you have done all these things before. Overreaction and sort of suddenly looking for your cat and being really concerned for them. You're just learning about these things now. It's going to take some practice. You're not going to be perfect for the first time you try. So the good thing is to know about it and start doing it as small as you can, but start doing it from here onwards. this is when I was creating this training, this came to my mind and I wanted to write it down. Let your cat borrow your relation instead of absorbing your anxiety. And I'm going to post it on my Instagram as well because I just felt like this is such a important statement for all of us cat parents, because it's not just about this particular behavior. It's about it's about this is what expert smart cat parents do, I would say. Yeah. So let your cat borrow your regulation instead of absorbing your anxiety. Now, common mistakes that worsen sound sensitivity, and we're going to wrap up very soon, guys. This is almost the end of the training. Let's quickly go through what not to do. Flooding exposure. Chris spoke about what flooding is. We don't want to do that. Locking the cat in a small room, yelling at any noise. If there is a noise, you're yelling and you're making that whole situation worse. That's what it means, yelling at noise. Traumatic comforting. Moving the litter box suddenly. And it's not just moving the litter box, like changing the litter box. If your cat has suddenly started peeing outside of the litter box, we jump onto all these solutions before working on the foundation. So punishing stress behavior, which we all know, you don't need to get into details of it, and ignoring gradual escalation signs. Because we sometimes we feel like my cat's just going to be fine afterwards. So it's important that you don't ignore those gradual escalation signs. And that's why in the beginning of the training, we sort of showed you how does this hyperactive cats look like. And at the top of it, remember that unpredictability is the root cause of this problem. Yeah. Yeah. And summary. So almost at the end of the training, I want to bring everything together for you very quickly. You cannot remove all sounds from your cat's life. Okay. There will always be some sort of noise, visitors, storms, renovations, unexpected moments. But what you can do is you can increase predictability. You can increase territory security. You can increase their resilience by doing the right thing every single day, especially the noise part, right? The way we talk to them, the way we run behind them very dramatically. By not doing all those things, you can decrease escalation, right? Sound sensitivity is not something to suppress. It is something to manage and strengthen through the structure throughout, like in your daily life. And when you focus on building this nervous system of your cat, focusing on, keeping this nervous system environment territory safe, instead of silencing the behavior, that's how you raise more confident cat in the long term, more resilient cat in the long term, right? And I want you to remember this. You are not trying to create a quiet home again. You are creating a stable nervous system inside an imperfect world, because we can't control everything in our life. Like if there's a construction happening, it's going to go on for another 6 months, 10 months. We're not going to stop that, right? I think there are a couple of cat parents who are, I don't think they're live here, but they're definitely wanted to watch this training. Is they have construction going on and their cats are doing very poorly. Yeah. So this is the whole summary of what we learned. We learned what sound sensitivity actually is, why our cat reacts the way they do, how we should respond strategically, smartly instead of emotionally. And I don't want you to be leaving with motivation. I hope you have written down those 3 actions. Learning is powerful, but when you implement those changes in your home, that's when you see the difference. And that's why me and Chris are here for, to help you implement these theoretical part. This, presentation and theory is fine, but you actually need to do it every single day in your home. And people who are watching the replay, as I said, please drop a comment with your biggest takeaways. And actually, guys, can I get a thumbs up if this has resonated with you? Pia, Sharath, Deb, Jess, give a thumbs up or let us know in the chat that this made sense and this sort of gave you lots of thumbs up. Awesome, cool. Thanks, Ian. Because this was requested by you guys, this training. So we really wanted to sort of get into the deep of what we can do in specific situations and what not to do, and take some really actionable takeaways so that we can start doing these things at our home from today itself. Because these things happens in all of our lives, right? Thunderstorms, fireworks, all these things. From now onwards, remember, you have to do less instead of do more. Yeah. Chris, do you want to add something before we say bye to everyone?
No, I think we fairly well covered it. I think it's been a good session. It's been comprehensive. Obviously, we know that it's not always a one size fits all when it comes to behavioral modification as well. So, and this is what we're here for. So,
Yeah.
but this is a good base, a good, basic understanding. And a list of things that you can definitely do as cat parents, or you
Yeah.
should be doing anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. What are the biggest takeaways, guys? Was there something which you didn't know and sort of like learned today during this session? Let me know in the chat or just come out of mute and share. I just want to know, what are you taking away from today's session? Doesn't want to think of it as a theoretical session. Anything which was really surprising, something new you learned today? Anyone? Deb was taking so many notes. I could see her taking a lot of notes, so which is amazing.
Just the escalation. I don't think that our cat Connie is like, she's not exhibiting the behaviors as much, but I can see where if we don't work with her consistently, she's going to be in that camp. I think we're really lucky that we've been able to keep her tamped down this long.
Yeah, yeah, and she's doing pretty well. Like all the changes you have started to make there, I'm pretty happy with the progress we are seeing. But yeah, we're still not there yet where we want to be.
No.
Yeah.
We're getting there. So thank you.
No worries, Deb. Perfect. Anyone else want to share anything new they learned today, or something interesting they're gonna start trying from today onwards or in the future before we go?
I really appreciated the first part where we were talking about what it looks like and what their like response, like quote unquote, should be. I feel like I think my cats are very jumpy, but from the sounds of it, that's what they're supposed to be doing. If they like are alert and looking for something when a noise happens, that's fine as long as they're returning to a neutral state afterwards. That's positive. And that I think our sound issues tend to be more situational, like fireworks or things like that. So I have some good tips for how to maybe desensitize a little bit, since we aren't typically we're often absent when those happen, and they don't have us in that situation to look to in terms of how they should respond. So to be able to kind of desensitize it for them a little bit and kind of preempt, like Chris said in the presentation, and then again in the chat, how to kind of just try to make it a calmer space for them.
Yeah, definitely. Just like the recovery part is so important there, right? Every cat's gonna respond dramatically to a sudden sound noise. It's very normal. But what we need to look as a cat parent is, are they recovering afterwards? Are they constantly anticipating what's going to happen next, or are they super jumpy at every other small sound in the house, which they're already aware of? That's where we need to sort of start putting in some steps, some actions, because that means their behavior is escalating a little bit. They are becoming that hyper vigilant cat, which we don't want. So yeah, very good point. It's actually I was really when I was building this training, I was like, yep, this is the point, which is the most important one in the training. Because sometimes we just think that, oh, my cat is fearful because she responded dramatically to a specific sound. So yeah, good point. Awesome. Thank you everyone for joining in and taking notes and asking questions. I know Chris was talking to some of you guys on the chat, so I hope that is all sorted and there's no follow-up questions. And yeah, even if there's more questions, all of you are in the Facebook group, drop in there and we will take it from there. Okay. Thank you everyone for joining in. Have a good Saturday. Have a good Sunday. Good Sunday. Yeah. Have a good Sunday. We are already on Monday. So yeah, the week has started for us. Thanks, Kristen and Jonah. It was good to see you here. Thanks, guys.
Are we going to do a quick Q&A or no?
I gave everyone an opportunity to ask questions. I think there was no questions, Chris.
Yep.
If there is any other questions, guys.
I mean, for the normal weekly Q&A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely
Hi, Chris.